Hello, Feminine Roadmappers. Welcome back to Feminine Roadmap Inspires. And today I have my friend, Eldonna Lewis Fernandez. She's a retired Master Sergeant of the U.S. Air Force. She's an author and a speaker and the founder of Baskets and Beads Kenya. And today she's going to be sharing her journey of getting involved with the women of Kitale, Kenya, and sharing her vision of how God brought her from just taking a trip to Kenya to creating a nonprofit to changing her life and their lives together. And Eldonna and I have been friends for a while, and we are both wearing the beads that she is talking about in her story today. So please stay tuned for an amazing story of how one woman's life and a decision she makes changes the lives of women halfway across the world. So Eldonna, thank you so much for saying yes to me.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here and excited to share my story.
Yes. So without further ado, please tell the story of how you even got to Kenya in the first place and what started this for you.
Well, I've been a speaker and trainer on how to think like a negotiator. That's what my book is on, Think Like a Negotiator. I was contracts manager in the Air Force and also in the defense industry. So that's where I got all my negotiation and contracts experience. And I was doing speaking and training, and I was at a marketing event. I had a booth set up. I was speaking that day, and right next to me was the founder of an organization called Reaching Beyond Ourselves. And his name was Steve. And so I sat and talked to Steve for a couple of hours, and he talked about going to Kenya. And they were actually there getting support for helping hurricane victims in Texas at the time. This was back in fall of 2017, September, October timeframe. And I left there thinking, maybe I'll go to Kenya, but I didn't make a decision. And then I saw him again at another event, and it just was very heavy on my heart to go to Kenya. So I made a decision to go. Okay, great, going to Kenya. Got to raise some money to go because my speaking business, I didn't have a whole lot of spare income. So I started to raise some money, and I put it out to my veterans group at church. So I'm part of a veterans group at Saddleback Church, Lake Forest. And I told them about it. One person made a donation, and then I got in my fear about asking. And one of the strategies in my Think Like a Negotiator book is ask for exactly what I want. We all get in that fear, right?
Yes. Even if you teach about it, right?
Right. So I was coming up against my own ask for exactly what I want moment. But I kept thinking, who's going to donate to send me on a mission trip? Why do I have to ask for people to give me donations? And I got scared. And then I didn't ask anybody, and I kept telling the people, well, I don't have enough money. I don't think I'm going to go. And they were like, well, just keep praying about it. I think that you're supposed to go on this trip. And I sort of left it alone and didn't say much. My business was kind of tanking at the time, and I was kind of like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, the guy who made the donation called me and said, Eldonna, I'm going to help you raise some money for this trip. And as soon as I got off the phone, I was like, no, you're not. I'm going to get my own ask in gear and ask for exactly what I want. I thought, okay, I'm going to do a GoFundMe. So I did a GoFundMe, and I started asking people for $20. First person donated $200. Second two people donated $100. Before I knew it, I had more than enough money, and I bought socks and underwear, took a whole suitcase full of socks and underwear for kids, and went on the trip. And it was a 10-day trip to Kenya. We were doing outreach. We were gathering, we were taking supplies, food and blankets. And so I had the socks and underwear and other things. And we were sharing our testimony and our stories and sharing hope. And it was great. Every place we went resonated with me. And then we went to a place, and I knew I'd come back. I thought, oh, I'll come back here and serve again. This is great. This was February 2018, about 2 years ago. And I thought, oh, I'll definitely come back and serve here again. And then we went to a place called the Kipsongo slum, which is one of the roughest slums in Kenya. Mud huts, tin roof, dirt floor, no running water, no kitchen or bathrooms. A lot of violence there. A lot of the women prostitute themselves or sell illegal alcohol to make money. And if they don't have any food, they go pick it out of the dumpster, which is pretty sad to take care of their kids. And one of the ladies, Patricia, gave me this bead I'm wearing. This is a paper bead made out of magazines. And she asked for sponsorship for her son to go to school. And I left there thinking, maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll sponsor Maxwell to go to school. And as we're leaving, some of the ladies had some different items laid out for sale. We didn't have any money with us. We didn't get told about that, so nobody could buy anything. So we left, but on the way back, I found out that a previous person from the trip had actually been giving them microloans to help them get the supplies they needed to buy the materials to make the items, and they were selling them there. I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. I went to sleep that night thinking about Patricia and Maxwell and all the ladies in Kipsongo, and I was tossing and turning, and suddenly I got woken up with a God-inspired idea to buy some beads, sell them with your book when you speak, baskets and beads. I thought, okay, that sounds pretty good idea. So I went out, and by the way, Steve, who was the founder of the trip, is Pastor Steve. He's a retired pastor. From my church, I didn't even know Saddleback's such a big church. But so I told him about it, and he's like, well, that's a good idea, because his motto is, we're here to serve, not solve. You can't solve all the poverty you see. And I felt a real calling by God to help these women. So I brought back half a suitcase of beads, sold out, went and spoke at some event, and I pretty much sold out and started telling people, started selling out. I got some more, sold out. I got a whole suitcase, sold out. Next trip I went on, I got 11 suitcases sold out. I just kept selling out, and it kept growing. And I ended up forming a nonprofit, because my bigger vision is to build some housing and get those women out of that slum. And we've been talking about starting a training program to train women on things like how to make beads, how to do hair, all kinds of things where they can make income. That's the big vision for the foundation. But right now we're focused on it's growing. I have a partnership in 2 retail spaces. I have wholesale customers. And I'm just starting the online store. But the catalyst to that whole thing is I left my corporate job about 4 years ago to do the speaking. I felt led by God to step out, and I'm going to go do speaking now. But that's really not why I had left the job. My speaking business, people tell me all the time they think I'm a great speaker and I have great content, but it never would catch. No matter what I did, I always felt like I was climbing up a hill. It was, okay, why is this not working? We prayed over the contracts. I lost a $1.2 million contract to the next low bidder. I was the low bidder. They awarded it to the next low bidder. And, they made up some reason. And I believe it's because the contract was on the East Coast, and me and all the instructors are on the West Coast, and the one they awarded it to was on the East Coast, close to them. So, but they can't tell you that, but that's what I think the reason was. But still, I lost that business. And I was just kind of like, I had gotten to a point like, I don't understand this. I have no income, no speaking, no opportunities. So I ended up making a very emotional choice to go back to a corporate job. And that really, once you leave the corporate world, and then you think you have to go back in order to sustain yourself, because the baskets and beads is not fully sustainable yet. And I needed a source of income. I have a military retirement, but it's not enough to live on. And so I needed a little more, but I needed some income to pour into it's a ministry. This is ministry. This is God's calling on my life. And over Christmas, when I was kind of just sitting alone and praying and thinking about what all was going on, it was kind of like, if I wouldn't have left the corporate job, I couldn't have gone to Kenya, and I wouldn't have been called to do this work. So, and I have some, finances to clean up from the business. So I've been blessed with the same kind of work that I did when I got out of the corporate world, and it's like 15 miles from my house. And so I have the income to pour into the ministry, and I'm very grateful for that. And I'm very happy that it's going down this path, because I don't know how long I'll be there. I'm not going to be there very long, but I am working very hard to help my women become monthly sustainable. And once they're monthly sustainable, then I can worry about, having a little income on this end to sustain myself too. But my main goal is to get them monthly sustainable, so they don't have to prostitute themselves, so they don't have to pick food out of the dumpster, so they don't have to sell illegal alcohol. And their alcohol there is like, I guess, equivalent to moonshine here.
Ah.
And and then the bigger vision to get them out of that slum. So I guess that's it in a nutshell. And I'm just grateful to be doing this, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that these 34 women that I'm serving in Kenya and their families have success and victory over poverty.
Now, you have 34 now, but when you went, in the 2 years that you've been involved with this in some way, shape, or form, you started with just 1 or 2 women that were doing this, right? And what is the process of growing your connections so that these women can do what they do? How did that start? What do
Well,
you supply, and how does that work?
Well, the first market that we did, because when I had the idea, I'm like, oh, let's get some of the women together, and I'll buy some from each one. So I bought like maybe $200 worth of beads, I'd say, and there was about 10 women that just came that made beads. Well, we started because I have somebody who's part of the team. Her name's Layla. She meets with the women every week. So we have like weekly meetings where, and they're learning leadership and how to build community and how to build their faith and just grow as people and grow their businesses. And so we had about, when we really, I don't know what it went from to, but once the meetings kind of got solid, when I went back the second time, there were about 30 women. And interestingly enough, I was going to do some interviews with them and get their stories and visit their huts. And the first day we had 15, and the second day 10 had dropped out because they were threatened and bullied by other women there, which is very sad that happens everywhere. So we went down to about 25 women that would come regularly to the group. And then in September of this past year, 9 women came, so we're up to 34. And we'll probably keep the group at that and then start another group. We're going to talk about that when I go back to Kenya. We'll probably keep it at that 34 women, because you don't want to get too big, and then we can start another group, and then maybe some of those women can be the leader or the help with leadership of the next group. So, it can grow like that.
Now, you provide magazines for them, right? So that they can cut the beads. I mean, cut the paper and make the beads.
So I give them a micro loan so they can go and buy the stuff.
Okay.
And then it comes out of the cost of the what they sell it back to me for. So I have magazines here that I'm hoping to get on a container one day to go over there. Probably have about a pallet full of magazines. The other organization, Pastor Steve's organization, is supposed to have a pallet going this summer. So I'm collecting magazines here to send over there. On my next trip, I'm going to take probably a suitcase full of magazines, and I'm hoping some other people will take some as well.
Now, you have with you, because I know, down below, show us some of the beautiful things that these women make.
Well, you're wearing yours, and this is mine. These are necklaces, and I'll take it off because they're double. You double them up. It's a long necklace. This is all made out of magazines, and then there's a little seed bead in between it. You can kind of see the little seed bead here. So and then this bracelet is also made out of magazines, and got some little bead embellishment in it. I have these necklaces. So we've named all the necklaces after one of the ladies. So this is the Patricia collection, because Patricia is the one who first, this is the bead she gave me 2 years ago, and I always wear it. I take it with me. This is my special bead that Patricia gave me. And so we call the paper beads the Patricia collection. This is the Dina necklace, which is, they're all different. And I have a lot of other colors on my Shopify store. But this is the Dina, named after Dina, who just had her 10th child. 10.
Wow.
10. So this is all seed beads. And then we have some purses here that I just got. This is a little mini clutch. And then in Kenya, they're known for the African wax print fabric, which I'm excited to go back, and I'm going to buy some fabric to get some skirts made, because I'm always exhibiting somewhere and I have like the same couple of skirts. I'm like, okay, I need a few others. And then, so this is the mini clutch, and this is the larger clutch. We bought them a sewing machine and got them training on how to make the purses. But this embellishment here, it's a bead, but this is also the same thing they use to make one of their baskets, which I don't have handy. But so you can see how this goes out. This is how they'll have wires that go out like this, and then they'll start another wire with beads on it, and they wrap it around each one of these things, and they go all the way around, and then they cut it off to make an embellishment for the purse, as you can see in these two. And then they for the basket, they keep going, and then they form the basket.
Now, these women, if I understand correctly, they have to pay for the education of their children as well.
Yes, school is not free in Kenya, and when they reach middle school age, it's required for them to board at school, and they have to wear a uniform. So when they board, they need a mattress, they need sheets, they have to wear a uniform, they have to have certain things like notebooks and pencils, and depending on what grade they're going in, they may need a compass or a thing or anything, like, or certain books they may need, pens. So there's a lot of expenses for going to school. It's normal, like we have to buy school supplies and that, but you don't have to buy a mattress and sheets and bedding and things. And then they need a little pocket money for things. But yeah, school fees are probably about $300 to $400 a year, depending on where they go. And then all the expenses that go on top of that. And these women live they're lucky if they make a couple dollars a day. So putting in, Dina has 10 kids. If somebody, like I've got a couple of the kids that are sponsored to go to school. So until they get monthly sustainable, we're doing things like sending them through the foundation, sending them money for food packs. And we've put a couple of kids in school, and there's always more help needed, because as the little kids grow, they're going to need to go to school, and it's not free over there.
What are the greatest ways that people can partner with Baskets and Beads Kenya so that these women are free to become independent financially?
They can, we are a 501c3 nonprofit, so we have on our website the ability to donate, and you can select if you want to donate to the food pack program or the school fees program. Right now I'm doing a GoFundMe to raise funds for my trip to take supplies. I'm going to take like underwear and socks for women and kids, and probably some clothing and things like that. And then when I get there, buy some more food packs so they can have food, and just things like that, just the basics. I mean, $50 will feed a family of 4 to 6 for a month. Could you imagine here, $50 feeding a family?
No. Not even close. Wow. So tell us some stories. I know you have some lovely pictures of the women. Why don't we start with that? Because I know when you first went, they were skeptical that you were just coming almost like a tourist, right? Tell me that story of how you met the women and the original kind of understandable kind of skepticism on their side, and then your second trip, how that was different.
Well, yes, because Mzungu means white person. So they have Mzungus come all the time and visit and promise to do things, and then they leave and never hear from them again. And, in Patricia, I'm a I guess you could say introspective thinker. I'll take something in and I'll process it. So she gave me this and asked about the sponsorship, and I was just kind of like, I didn't know what to say. I was thinking about it. And then when Patricia tells the story, she's like, she didn't say much, and I figured I'd never see her again. And then when I bought the beads, they were like, oh yeah, whatever. You're just like anybody else. We'll never hear from you again. You'll go back home. Because people, they get there and their hearts are touched, but then they get back here and get back into day-to-day life, and that seems so far away, and then it's just not possible to continue, and that's understandable. But it was such a strong calling on my heart that I could not, if I said no, I just felt like, I think everybody had, what is that, when you figure out what your purpose is? I mean, this is definitely my purpose, my calling in life, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to. And I'm that's why I basically gave up my speaking business that wasn't working well, to go back to a corporate job, and that was a huge thing. But I'm willing to. My thing is, if you're not going to do what God's called you to do, what's the point of even doing anything? It's like, I could be running around doing whatever for myself, but this is what I'm called to do. And I do serve veterans here with the veterans ministry, but this is a big calling on my life. So they were skeptical, they were doubtful, and they were like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. So the second time I went back, and I went to the group where Patricia and her ladies were making beads, because I'd placed an order for about 500 of these, and so they were all working really hard to make the beads. And like, I've placed my order because I'm getting ready to go, and so they're working hard on making the things that I've ordered. So I went there and I walked up, and Patricia comes out and she looks me up and down and she says, no. And she turns around and walks off. And I thought, no, what'd I do? So she comes out with a Maasai tribal blanket and she ties it around me, puts some tribal beads on me, and says, if you're going to be with us, you have to look like us. So now I have a uniform I have to wear, and that was a green blanket. Well, they know that my speaking color is blue. You see, I'm wearing blue, my brand color for speaking. So they all went out and they bought blue blankets, and that was my uniform. So that's what this picture is of.
But they all wore it too.
Right. Yeah. So this was our uniform to wear, and you can see us all there. This was in February of last year, 2019.
You went 2 times last year.
Yes, I've been 4 times since February 2018.
Yeah.
And going for my 5th time in February 2020. And so now I've had some t-shirts made. I have Baskets and Beads Kenya t-shirts. And now I hear that they're making skirts to match the t-shirts, because I'm taking them all t-shirts. So all the ladies in the group will have a Baskets and Beads t-shirt, but we have our uniform that we have to wear. So it's like, I can't show up without my uniform. And the last time I went there, I come walking in, and they're like putting like all kinds of things on me, and they took off my shoes and put different shoes on me, and I just love them. It's just like, so I'm excited to see what happens this time.
Because they don't call you Mzungu anymore.
No, as a matter of fact, I have one of the ladies on video saying, you're not Mzungu, you're Kenyan, you're one of us. And that just made me cry, because we're family. And they taught me a lot about happiness and contentment.
Mm-hmm.
They have nothing, and they know they have nothing. They know that they're lower than low, because the people in the town treat them like they're less than. And like, we go for this really hurts my heart. So when I'm ready to come back, the last thing we do is we're gonna have to have the market. I'm thinking out loud in advance, but we have a tea party. And we have our market where I buy everything from them. And one of the times we went, we got there a little late, and they were waiting outside. And I asked Layla, I'm like, why are they waiting outside? And, oh no, they won't go in there because they'll be chased out. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, oh, they're from Kipsongo, they're less than. I'm just like, oh my gosh, that just hurts my heart. So I'm instilling in them that no, they're not less than. They're a child of God, and they're women, and they're amazing, and they're talented, and they're beautiful, and they should love themselves no matter what anybody else says.
But I do know that you've come up against some opposition within the villages as well. Tell me a little bit about the challenge of lifting these women up and the mindset that other women may be trying to keep that growth from coming.
Oh yeah, which is why they want to get out of there so bad, and what I want them out of there. They're unfortunately it exists, jealousy and pettiness and bullying, which is why some of those women didn't have me come to their huts. But so we're there. I guess it was my second time there, and we're walking. Was it the second time, second or third time? We're walking around, going hut to hut, and some drunk man yells out, "Mzungu, you can't do anything. They're dust people. They'll always be dust people. Go home." And dust, the slum is built on an old landfill. They call it a dust bin. So a dust bin is the same thing as a landfill or a dumpster or whatever. So they're, you're dust people because you live on an old landfill. So basically they're trying to say, oh, go away, you can't do anything. They're going to always be in this position. And so we went into the first hut we went into. I said, you guys heard that guy, right? They're like, yeah. I'm like, don't listen to him. No, I can't do anything, but God sure can. And he's working in here with us right now. And he's making us successful. It's just going to take time, and we just have to have faith. Don't listen to anybody. But, they face that stuff. There was one of the lady's sons. We actually paid for him to get medical care because he was hit by a rock from a fight that had broken out in the slum, and he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And then one of our ladies, Daisy, was walking by, and when I didn't know this until after we interviewed her, she had a big bunch of stitches right there, and she had gotten hit by a rock too. And because she had sold some beads, she had the money to go get that taken care of. But the place is violent. We have to get out of there early afternoon because they are drinking all day, and by the time it's getting later in the afternoon, they're really drunk, and that's when the violence breaks out, and it's not a safe place to be. And a lot of the mothers are worried about their kids because a lot of rape goes on there, and HIV is pretty prevalent. And my prayer is just that I would be able to raise money to buy some land and build the housing and get them the heck out of there, because that's what I want for them most of all. And for them to have a place to call their own, that's safe, that they can raise their kids safely and not have to worry about, is my daughter going to get attacked when she walks from school to home, kind of thing.
Now, you did get a building for them to do work in, though, didn't you? Didn't you rent a place for them to be doing their sewing and their beading?
We're looking for that. We're planning on having that in place. I'm going to be making a decision on that when I go back. So we're trying to find a place far enough away from the slum, because I don't need anybody in there knowing what's going on with the women. So yeah, that's on our plan. We've been looking for that for a while, but we do need that. That's number one priority for when I'm there.
Okay, awesome. Now, share a little bit about the relationships that you've built with the different women. You've named the beads after these women. So share a little bit about the women that you work with.
Oh, they're all like, they're, so I'm learning some Swahili, and they're laughing at me. That like, so Patricia's group, it's Patricia, Elbit, Helen, Dina, and Rael. They work together as a team. So a lot of women get together. We did a time study on how long it takes one woman to do one of these. Let me show you again how long it is. It's pretty long. And we had to track on how long it took them to go to town to buy the magazines, and And this was all for because I'm working on getting Fair Trade Federation verified, and they needed more of an insight into my costing. So we were figuring it down to the minute. So it takes one woman an hour to cut and roll enough beads for a necklace. It takes her 12 minutes to string a necklace. So, but when they work together in teams, one woman cuts, one woman rolls, one woman strings, one woman varnishes, and then one woman fills in wherever they need. So they work together in teams a lot of times to make the paper beads, so they can do it together. So I've developed, that's the group that I walked up to, was Patricia's group, and when she said no and gave me that, and then that Dorcas is the leader. So one of the necklaces is named after her. I've got a Rael necklace, and I haven't named the beaded baskets, but most of the necklaces I have a name. There's Helen, the Helen necklace. If you go to KenyaBeadQueen.com, soon to be Baskets and Beads Kenya.com for the Shopify store, you can see all the different names of the necklaces there. And I need to do a little actually a story on each lady, which I'm working on doing. But all my products that are in stores have hang tags on them that has pictures of the ladies that says this is I'm one of the artisans that handcrafted these goods. So yeah, so when I go there, the last time I was there, we did the Cupid Shuffle, and I taught them a game called Whoosh, where you go whoosh and you pass it around. It's a game I learned in acting class. And I had this 20-second video where they're whoosh, 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 and they're passing it around. And it gets this one lady, Akuleo, she's an older mama, and she's supposed to pass it to me, and she doesn't say anything. That gets whooshed to her, and she goes back, and they're like, no, you got to go this way. And then she's like, whoosh, and then she just busts up laughing. Anytime that I feel down, I look at that little 20-second video, and I just start busting up laughing, because so Akuleo, she just like has the greatest time. She just doesn't care, and it's just so fun to spend time with them, to sing and dance, and I'll test my Swahili out on them, and they laugh at me, and they're like, oh, you're getting good. You need to learn Turkana now, because they're from the Turkana region. So most of them, they speak Turkana and Swahili, but some only understand Turkana. So it has to be translated from English to Swahili to Turkana. So they were like, you need to start learning Turkana now. I'm like, no, let me learn Swahili first. Give me a break.
So you have 34 women in that Kipsongo slum that do this. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
34. Yeah.
And so when you go, I know that you wrangle other people's suitcases. So explain a little bit about how that works. So when you buy the beads, you pay a fair trade amount to them, right? So explain your model.
Yeah. So fair trade means, so when you buy fair trade, because you think about where your clothes made, where's your food come from. If you want to really find out all the chocolate you eat, where it comes from, there was an interesting article done about how a lot of the big chocolate manufacturers, Hershey being one of them, unfortunately, get chocolate that they use kids, slave labor, to pick the cocoa. So fair trade means that there's no child labor, there's no slave labor. They're getting paid a fair wage for what it is that they make, a fair wage in their country that they can actually build a sustainable life on. So it's a sustainable wage. Again, no slave or forced labor, no horrible working conditions, things like that. So there are places that have sweatshops, and the people don't get paid. Like, I don't think the kids, they keep them, it's horrible. The kids that pick the cocoa, they don't go to school. We don't have any kids working. It's only the women that are working. So their kids need to be in school, and that's the number one thing that we want to do. So we actually pay more than they would sell it for there. And since we've grown, we've started shipping. We were shipping things, but when I go there, I usually get my order, and anybody who's coming from Orange County, I ask them to take a suitcase or half a suitcase of beads and put it, and just carry it back for me. It makes it easier, makes it simpler, and it saves on shipping costs.
So what happens is, though, you pay them their fair price. Then you bring
Yes.
it back to America and
Yes.
you sell it here. And then what happens once you sell the beads? What's your model to invest back in them?
Well, I just go and I buy more. So it's like everything kind of turns around, and obviously there's some business expenses, and now we're paying shipping and things like that.
Mhm.
But it all goes right back to buy more from them. So I'm working on getting it to be monthly sustainable orders. So every month I can place an order with them, and it's approaching that. It's approaching that. We had an order the 29th of November, and I've just ordered a few more things that were mailed to me, and then that arrived in December. So now I'm ordering that I'm going to pick up in February. And as things run out, now that we have shipping in place, I am placing orders for things as they run out. So I just got these, and I expect them to run out very fast. So I'll be ordering some more for when I go back to Kenya next month.
So the model is to pay them their fair wage, then to come back and have a margin of the sale here. So that money goes back to buying more beads and ordering more beads and baskets and purses, so that you're building their business by buying their inventory and reinvesting everything that you sell from here. And of course, covering costs like shipping and things like that. Now, how can people get involved and support what you're doing? Like, if somebody's watching this video and they think, I love this, what are the different ways that a person can get involved to support this ministry?
So obviously, any donating for the food packs and the school fees to help them to have those regular expenses taken care of until this gets monthly sustainable. There's a basketsbeadskenya.com. There's a tab there that you can go to donate, and it's specific, and it is a tax deduction because it's a 501c3 nonprofit. But also follow on social media, follow and participate on social media. I have a Baskets and Beads Kenya page on Facebook. I do a couple of weekly Facebook Lives. And then I'm also on Instagram, Baskets and Beads on Instagram. Or purchase. You can purchase at basketsandbeadskenya.com. There's a place at the bottom. You can click over to the Shopify store and purchase there. The Shopify store website right now is kenyabeadqueen.com, but I'm working on changing that. So everything's going to be baskets and beads. And, it's still very grassroots, so you go through that kind of thing. You can also, if you're local in Southern California, have me over for a in-home tea party. I call it a tea party because I have tea with my women there. And let me explain about why we do a tea party. We do a tea party, and probably every other month I'm doing Tea with a Purpose at Fairtrade Long Beach, the same thing, and why we do tea. Well, when I celebrate with my women, the last thing we do before I leave is we have a tea party, and we get together, and I am adamant about serving them. And you can see it's very uncomfortable for them. They don't understand it. I'm going to talk a little bit more about why I'm doing that, because I'm serving them because they work so hard and they deserve to be served. And so I serve them their tea and their little bread, and we have tea together. Well, the first time I did that, it's, like here in the US, we go to tea a lot. I go to high tea with my daughter. I've gone with other friends. I love doing tea. I'm a tea fanatic. It's something you wouldn't think about, just gathering with women, maybe a networking group or whatever. And at first they were all sitting there, they were really uncomfortable. And I asked, okay, what's going on? Does anybody want to share things? And one lady said, we've never done this. We've never gathered together as women. This is a first for us. I'm just getting chills talking about it, because something we take for granted, they've never done. So anytime I do an event here where I come, it's a home party, but I call it a tea party. I'll bring Kenya tea and share the story. The hostess gets an item of her choice and gets a discount off of her purchase. And be able to share baskets of beads with your friends. But I also do that online, like we're doing right now. I'm going to start doing a Zoom. I do a Zoom home party. If you can't get your friends together, get them together online, and I'll hold things up, and you can go purchase that way. So there's all kinds of ways to get involved. And I'd love to be connected with anybody who would like to be involved. Also, in-kind donations are good. Magazines, socks and underwear, if you have any contacts for any of those type of things, because there's a constant need for that, and I'm always taking that with me when I go, because the kids grow, and those are things that they need, that the quality that they get there isn't very good. So if I can take them better quality stuff, it'll last them longer, and it's something that they don't have to worry about for their kids.
It's so amazing. Now, I'm going to throw this out there. What if somebody wanted to go to Kenya? Are you moving toward the option of having a trip that's organized enough eventually for someone to actually get on board and be a part of a team?
Yes, I actually was doing that this time. I do have somebody going on my trip that's ended up being combined with another trip. I am doing that. So there is an option to do that as well. We'll probably look at doing that again next year. I'm not sure exactly when, but there'll be information on the website or on the social media pages as we start to build that out.
Awesome. So the different ways that someone can get involved is to go to basketsandbeads.com. It is currently named as of
Basketsandbeadskenya.com.
basketsandbeadskenya.com. And that will get them to the donate. It will get them to the store. And if they wanted to get involved in a trip eventually, where would they go? Would they just connect with you on your Facebook page?
Facebook, or Eldonna at basketsandbeadskenya.com.
Okay. Awesome. Is there anything else that you really want people to know about what it is that you do and what these women mean to you and what Baskets and Beads Kenya means to them?
Well, it definitely means a life changing. I mean, they believe now. They know that I'm not going anywhere. I'm not just somebody who came over there, got my heart filled, came back, and blew them off like a lot of people do. Um, and like I said, life happens back here, so everybody can't possibly get involved and stay involved. It's just you want to, but then you get back and reality hits you. But for I've had some people say, well, why aren't you serving people here? And I do. I serve veterans, but my thing about that is you can't decide where you're called to serve. And would I like to be called to serve somewhere that doesn't take me over 24 hours just to get there, and they have bugs that have diseases, and the water runs out and there's no internet half the time? And sure, but that wasn't where I was called to serve. I was called to serve in Kenya. My heart is in Kenya. I love these women like they're my own blood, and I want to do anything I can to help them become entrepreneurs, or they are entrepreneurs, but to become self-sustainable women through entrepreneurship. And I'm doing this, giving them a hand up, not a hand out, and creating this one woman at a time.
So amazing. So I want to make sure that everybody has the ability to connect with you. Eldonna, I want to thank you for saying yes to that mission, because, we're all human. This connection, this human connection, these are real women with real hurts and real desires and real needs on the other side of the world. And just to be able to take something like a video like this and to share how someone else can get involved, I want to make sure that I honor you for doing the hard thing. So on behalf of the women, I know they're grateful. I honor the journey that you've agreed to take in spite of the challenges that do come your way.
Thanks. Well, I appreciate you having me.
My pleasure. So don't forget, everyone, please subscribe down below. And in the show notes, I will have links to everything that Eldonna talked about. Get involved. She's right now, if you watch this video immediately, she is collecting donations for her trip in February 2020, but she will be taking future trips. You can get your beads, your purses, your bracelets, your baskets on her Shopify store. Friends, this is the power of technology. we can share with one another the things that are on our heart. We can make an impact halfway across the world just with a $20 donation or buying some beads. Think of a way that you could do a virtual tea party with Eldonna. Or if you live in the area, we have Tea with a Purpose that comes up. Get connected with her. Find a way to get involved. If this isn't calling to your heart, just share this video with someone whose heart might connect and resonate with what it is that Eldonna is doing in Kenya. And again, I want to thank you for joining us for this episode of Feminine Roadmap Inspires. And I look forward to sharing more and more women with you in the years to come. Have a great week, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.